Yes, good morning children. Now we are in the determination of income and employment chapter, and first two concepts we have discussed. Before going to that, I will tell you the level of income is depend on aggregate demand of an economy. So the aggregate demand is depends on influenced by two factors or two variables, which are consumption and investment. And we have discussed about the consumption and investment. Consumption, which means using of goods and services for satisfying human wants. The consumption is based on or depend on income. So we have discussed about the consumption and income relationship in the concept of consumption function. Then consumption function also having a formula of C equal to C bar plus C of Y. Autonomous consumption, it is a combination of both autonomous consumption and induced consumption. Okay, Nama. Now investment function also we have discussed. Investment function shows the investment is autonomous investment, which is independent on income. Okay, but investment is influenced by some other factor other than the income. Okay, that and all we have discussed, and now we are going to discuss the some of concepts which are related to the determination of income. Okay, number one is full employment level of income. Here they are assuming that all the factors of a country are fully employed. Okay, fully employed means they are getting an income by engaging for the services. Okay, which are the four factors of production? Land, labor, capital, organization. So these factors of production are engaging in the production activity fully and they are getting paid correctly. So this is the full employment level of income. I repeat the answer again. Full employment level of income is that level of income where all the factors of productions are fully employed in the production process. Which are the four factors of production? Land, labor, capital, organization. Okay, so these four factors of productions are fully engaged in the production process. And which are the two fiscal variables which influences the aggregate demand? As I said, we are discussing in this chapter determination of income and employment. So aggregate demand, the final value of final goods and services depend on the aggregate demand of an economy. The aggregate demand is determined by or influenced by two variables, which are consumption and investment. Consumption is consumer point of view, demand concept, and investment is producer point of view, supply concept. If there is demand and supply properly or actively, then only the national income can be increased. Okay, the income is determined by these main two factors, which are consumption and investment. Okay, next, excess demand and deficient demand. See here, if the equilibrium level of output is more than the full employment level of output, then it is called excess demand, which means full employment level of output means the people are fully engaged. You know that last concept only we have discussed. What do you mean by full employment level of income? Which means all the factors are engaged and getting reward. Okay, when the land, labor, capital, organization are engaged in the full productive activity and they are getting paid, mean the demand will be more than the supply, isn't it? So that what it is known as excess demand. When the demand is greater than the supply, is known as excess demand situation. And next concept is deficient demand. Deficient demand, the word itself self-explanatory. Deficient, which means shortage. The supply is more in a country, but the demand is less comparatively supply. Okay, as compared to the supply. If the equilibrium level of output is less than the full employment level of output, then it is called deficient demand. Okay, Nama, I repeat again. If the equilibrium level of output is less than the full employment level of output, then it is called deficient demand. So you can write in a different format. When the demand is less than the supply or output, is known as deficient demand, which means shortage of demand compared to the supply, availability of goods in the market. You know that if there is so much of blanket in a market during the summer season, will it be more demand or more supply? Obviously more supply only, because people won't purchase during the summer season the blankets. That situation we used to call as deficient demand. Excess demand means during the festival period or the festival period or celebration period, the demand for fruits, flowers, sweets will be more. Okay, if you take an example Diwali time, okay, but that time the availability will be less comparatively the demand, because people in a country, entire country, they'll be demanding. Okay, so that is the excess demand situation. The producer will be struggling to provide the supply as per the demand, okay, making equal to demand. That situation is known as the excess demand. And next one, investment multiplier. Who gave this concept? I'll tell you. J.M. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. So he has said the ratio of total increment in equilibrium value of final goods output to the initial increment in autonomous expenditure is known as investment multiplier. The ratio of total increment in the equilibrium level of output into the initial increment in the autonomous expenditure is known as investment multiplier. Suppose if the producer is invested in a production process, maybe their total expenditure is something, maybe their income, the total increment in the equilibrium value of final output. Okay, total increment means the overall production over, they are going to sell in the market, they get some amount of income, and initial increment to the autonomous expenditure. Because of that, after selling this, they for sales they will be spending in the market. So what is the ratio between the expenditure and income of the investors? That is known as investment multiplier. I repeat again, it is the ratio between investor income and expenditure. That's all, ma. So it can be a total income and the initial expenditure of the investors. So this can be explained with the help of investment multiplier formula. The investment multiplier is depend on MPC. Hope you remember MPC. I have explained marginal propensity to consume. What do you mean by marginal propensity to consume? Which means the rate at which consumption changes as income changes. When my income changes, how I will behave with my consumption pattern. Whether I will spend below my income, I will increase my income below, I will increase my consumption below my income, or I will not change my consumption pattern. That's what you know, that MPC ratio range will lies between 0 to 1. 0 which means though my income increases, I never change my consumption pattern. Okay, but 0 equal to 1 which means I increase my consumption pattern but not exceeding my increment of income. Okay, so the size of multiplier depend on MPC, they are saying. Which means here MPC, the multiplier shows the ratio between the income of investors and expenditure of investor. Okay, how much they are earning, total income and the initial increment of autonomous expenditure. Okay, so this can be expressed with the help of formula. The investment multiplier is equal to delta Y by delta A bar. A bar which means autonomous expenditure, delta Y changes in income divided by changes in autonomous expenditure. The rate at which total value of final output, value of goods, which means income only. So delta Y by delta A bar is equal to 1 by 1 minus C. C denoted by MPC and is equal to 1 by S, which is savings. So this is the multiplier formula which was introduced by J.M. Keynes. Next concept is paradox of thrift. Very interesting concept. Paradox of thrift, which means usually we used to say when you increase the savings in the bank, in last syllabus and all they had a mobilization of saving, conversion of savings into investment. The capital formation was there by the commercial bank. One concept was there, which means we people, we earn the money and excess of income. What do you mean by savings? You know that it is the part of income which is not spent on consumption, isn't it? That part of income, suppose my income is 20,000, out of 20,000 I am spending only 15,000 or 12,000 and remaining 8,000 I am depositing in bank. So what the bank will do, whether I am depositing in a short period or long period. Short term deposit is known as time deposit, recurring deposit, and long term deposit is known as fixed deposit, as I said in the class, you remember. Okay, so here if I put for fixed deposit for long period, maybe 2 years or 5 years, till that I don't go and approach the bank until I get a necessity. Okay, so the bank, what they will do, they will convert into investment, which means they purchase the shares of a company and shares will use for the productive activity, the share market company. So here this will happen. This is the savings. Okay, usually what we say, when you save the money, that is good for a country and the country will use for the production activity, that and all. But it should be, for everything there is a limit, no? Too much of anything good for nothing, we used to say. The proverb is suitable for this paradox of thrift. Even the same proverb we have used for the LDMU theory in microeconomics. Okay, if you keep consuming the same commodity, the utility, marginal utility derived from the particular commodity goes on declining. That is LDMU. Same proverb we can use for that. Too much of anything, good for nothing. The same way here, paradox of thrift. If all the people in a country deposit their money in the bank, what is the result? They are saying the national income or national saving or total saving will be reduced or remain constant. How it can be possible, ma? I'll tell you the story. Suppose everyone started saving their money instead of consuming the commodities. They are depositing in the bank. They are they are fixing in the mind, I want to save more money for the future income, or I want to purchase the property in future, so I will save today. So everyone are saving. What will happen? Their consumption will be reduced. When the consumption reduced, what will happen in the market? There is a link between consumption, production, investment, income, employment in the economy. There is a cycle. Okay, link between everything, link chain. Okay, suppose if the consumption reduces, what will happen? The product will be dumped in the market and go down. So the producer will stop the production. Understood, Amma? When the demand reduces, supply also will reduce. Why producer will have to stop, ma? Because until I sell my first unit of commodity, why should I produce still more? How can I store long period of time? I need a preservation, warehousing facilities, and I have to spend more without earning income for the next production process. So till I clear my old production unit, I don't go for the further things. If it is necessary, they keep producing, isn't it? So what will happen? Production will be reduced. When the production reduces, producer what they will do? Unnecessarily, why they keep the employers? They'll remove the employers. So the people who are the employers, you have studied in second chapter, firms will use the factor services from household. The household will receive the factor income from firms, isn't it? Here that will happen. The household income will be reduced. This is one side. Another side, what will happen? Employment reduced. The producers stopped or reduced the production. So they will stop investment. When the investment is stopped, what will happen? Again, circulation. Low income will induces the low consumption. Again, low consumption. With the low income, people will not save again. What they will do? The remaining amount, they will not have a sufficient money to consume for their basic necessities. Again, what will happen? The entire economy savings will be reduced or unchanged. Understood? So there is a link between everything. When you stop consumption or reduce the consumption, that is what at present it is happening. During the lockdown period, many people lost their jobs, so no income or low income, they reduce the consumption. When the consumption reduces, the producer will face the problem, which is loss. So they can't go for the further production activity. They will stop the production, or they will reduce the production. They will stop the investment activity. Employment will be reduced. Income will be reduced due to low income, low consumption. Low consumption again inducing the low productivity. Low productivity, less employment. Less employment, low income. So there is a cycle. It's a kind of vicious cycle. That's what the paradox of thrift is saying. I repeat again, if all the people of the economy increases the proportion of income they save, if the MPS of the economy increases, MPS which means marginal propensity to save, which means the rate at which savings increases as income increases, the total value of savings in the economy will not increase. It will either decline or remain unchanged. This result is known as paradox of thrift. Hope you understand the concept, ma. And at last we are going to discuss the important concept. Another important concept, you know that aggregate demand is dependent on two important factors, which are consumption, change in consumption and change in investment. Okay, here change in consumption is, it can be autonomous consumption or dependent, induced consumption. And change in investment, obviously as per this concept we are assuming the investment does not change. It is a autonomous investment which does not depend on income. But though the investment is depend on some other factors, you can assume it can be a credit availability, easy availability of credit in the banks, and interest rate for the borrowing, okay, rate of interest for the borrowing, or so investment. So these things also, the rate of interest for the borrowing, commercial bank borrowing. So that and all will determine the investment, induce the investment. So the autonomous investment shows the investment is independent on income, only income, they are not considering about other factors. And next, what do you mean by investment? Investment is defined as the addition to the stock of physical capital. Okay, investment is defined as the addition to the stock of physical capital, which means cash, machinery, tools, buildings, etc., which are used for the production process, is known as investment. Easy availability of credit encourages investment. As I said just now, if the investor is getting easily credit facilities from the bank, commercial bank, now you have so many business oriented bank, IDBI, IBRD, etc. So or RRB, regional rural bank, so many for agriculture oriented and industrial oriented bank and all started. So those banks are providing the credit with low rate of interest. This will encourage the investment of the producer or investor. So I repeat again, investment, which means it is the addition to the stock of physical capital, cash, machinery, tools, buildings, which are used for the production process, is known as capital. So we are ending with the concept, ma. Keep learning. All the best. Thank you, ma.